I think it's fair to say that, in Kingdom Come Deliverance, the real excitement doesn't begin until Henry secures his first payday and his first horse. Using this guide, you'll not only get a free horse, but also gear worth over 25,000 groschen and the ability to power level Henry's skills. You'll be absolutely stacked before you even wake up at the rattay mill, and it only requires one tiny little crime. This is going to work on either difficulties, so pick your preferred mode and begin your chat with Mother. You'll need level 3 strength to make this work, so I advise just taking the strength as your starting stats, but you can also spend time grinding in skalitz if you prefer to pick a different bonus. My intention is to leave those poor skalitz folk alone for a change, so I'll be doing the bare minimum required to move on to the next section. Finish skalitz to your liking, and then prepare to speak with Teresa. My stats are extremely low, and I sold my pants to buy the charcoal. I've got no inventory except for what was in the starting chest, along with 5 cabbages I grabbed from the pantry. With that, it's time to run. To get a horse for free, you'll need to complete some of the upcoming sequences out of order. Here, it means avoiding the next cutscene that would send Henry running through Ravna with an arrow in his arse. To do that, grab any of the horses ahead and ride over to the ore yard. Don't worry about Teresa, we'll help her out in a minute, but you'll need to jump the wall at this corner here to gain access to the yard. Once in, be careful not to be seen by a bandit, but you needn't fear the cuman on horseback. Their path is set and they're not going to chase you. Go around the back of the yard, whistle for Elena, and then ride on toward Ravna. You're traveling to Merhoyed to pick out a horse, but on the way there are a few required supplies. Past Ravna and at the base of the switchbacks is a lone farmhouse. Nothing here is classed as theft, so feel free to grab some snacks, but you're specifically after this sack here where you'll get a bludgeon and some bandages. Also, now is a good time to remove the plain bridle from Elena and move it into Henry's inventory. While ascending the switchbacks, I'll share some important information about the mechanics we're exploiting in this video. First, be warned, you are still being chased by cuman at this moment. When escaping skalitz, a number of cuman are set in direct pursuit of Henry. These cuman know exactly where you are and will never stop chasing you until either they are killed or you progress the story. The cutscene you just escaped has a special mechanic. It doesn't matter which horse you are riding when you trigger the cutscene, she will be the one Henry is riding on the other side of it. You'll need Elena out of the picture if you want this exploit to work. Don't ask me how I know this, but simply killing the mare will not produce the results you are after. You'll need to trigger the mission Homecoming to remove Elena from the map entirely, which forces the chase cutscene to assign a different horse. Having arrived in Merhoyed, it's time to make a choice. This exploit will allow you to own any horse Henry can mount, meaning you are not limited to the ones here, they're just the most convenient. You could travel across Bohemia to Neuhof, Ujitz, or anywhere there's a horse standing about. You could also save this mechanic for later if you wanted, to take a Privoslavitz horse, or perhaps Pi, the Roan, or Zora's Dappled Grey later in the story. As long as you don't trigger the cutscene over by the ore yard, this exploit remains waiting in your back pocket. Just be warned that it will replace any currently owned horse, be it Pebbles or one you purchased yourself. If you decide on a horse that has no value, like any horse named Horse or Captain Robard's horse, you won't be able to buy another one, ever. Something about them having no value bugs out the purchase mechanic, and Henry will never be presented the screen to accept or haggle over the price. But if you choose a horse with value, one that is for sale at a horse trader, things will work as normal, and you'll be able to trade it in for a discount on your next purchase. The horse you take ownership of with this exploit will receive a permanent buff to courage and, unfortunately, a debuff to speed. From what I can tell, Elena transfers the impact of her tack to the new horse, even if it's unequipped before she's removed from the game. I'm observing typically a +2 to courage and -5 to speed. So, if you were to steal Warhorse Yenda, be prepared for his speed to be 35 instead of 40. This doesn't bother me too much, as he'll be plenty fast after adding horseshoes and the racehorse perk. If that doesn't work for you, consider grabbing Binky for now and trade him in later when you're ready for an upgrade. Just avoid any horse with low courage unless you're prepared to fight off some cuman after being bucked off. Having selected a mount, go park it at the Ravna Church to retrieve it later after Talmberg. This is where Henry will teleport to when the Homecoming mission is launched. Keep an eye out for those pesky cuman, as this is one moment where they could ruin your plans. With that, whistle for Elena and ride out toward Robard. There's nothing special to do while in Talmberg. You no longer own Elena, but she is safely in the stables ready for escape. Complete the Talmberg sequence by your preferred methods, and then get far enough away to trigger the Homecoming teleport. causing Olenna to be removed from Bohemia. Hop on your selected horse and head towards Skalitz. The plan is to trigger the run cutscene while still inside the homecoming quest, but before you enter the main gate. The trigger point is at the north side of the bridge by the ore yard. I advise arriving from the south side of the bridge and saving the game before getting too close. There is a treasure under the bridge with some weapons and armor worth a tidy sum. It's also worth wearing the chest piece to make the next part just a little bit safer. Triggering the cutscene will move you outside of Ravna. Henry will be bleeding and 3 cuman will follow in relentless pursuit. A low courage horse will throw Henry immediately and force a fight on the spot. However, one with decent courage will allow even a low-level Henry to stack the fight in his favor. Bust a U-turn and get a little bit of distance before opening Henry's inventory. You'll need 4 bandages to clear the bleeding, and you might as well drink one of the marigold potions to top off his health. Ensure the bludgeon is equipped instead of Sir Redzik's sword, and with that, head through the main skalitz gate and bolt directly toward the tavern. There's some exterior stairs leading to an empty room where you can break the cuman AI. Get off the horse and run up there, pulling out your bludgeon in preparation. The cuman, while still on horseback, will eventually work their way into the room. Be ready to dodge an arrow or two as they enter, but once they're fully inside, it should leave them passive and vulnerable. However, if their horse is killed, they will target you for revenge, and one of the 3 cuman are heavily armored, so a low-level Henry has little hope of winning in a fair fight. Thankfully, we don't have to fight fair. Identify the weakest-looking cuman and stab at his horse with the bludgeon, but it'll have no problem forcing the rider to fall off. Lock on to the fallen cuman, and once he stands, swing at him repeatedly with your wooden rod. These cuman really love their horses, and if they are knocked off, they will immediately seek to remount instead of attacking Henry. If you don't manage to take him out before he mounts up again, no problem, just repeat the steps until the enemy is on the ground for good. Once defeated, you can grab his bow from the floor and take the extremely rare, poor quality arrows from his inventory. This bow requires 3 strength to prevent premature release, while the agility requirements only affect sway and won't be a problem at point-blank range. Now it's just a matter of shooting the other 2 cuman wherever they're not armored until they succumb to the pricking. If you were only in this for the horse, you're done. Go check on mom and dad and continue with the prologue. But if you want to get paid, scoop up all that gear and store it temporarily on this, container, while being careful not to get close to Henry's parents, which would trigger a cutscene that places an invisible wall at the main entrance. There are a bunch of cuman outside Ravna with broken AI, leaving them completely passive. This presents an opportunity to train and loot with no risk or reputation loss. Fair warning, there are potentially 2 bandits out there willing to fight Henry. The one outside the main gate, and one near a bridge inside Ravna. If you just ride past them, they'll briefly chase before eventually losing their aggro. At this point, they walk off to God knows where, and you won't be seeing from them ever again. Allow me to give you a quick tour, and some farming tips to optimize your experience. Follow the main road straight out of Skalitz until you reach that little barn, and then turn right and ride to the first group of cuman. You can do as you wish, but I do recommend not killing any of the passive cuman, as they can be farmed both now and after the prologue whenever you return here. Instead, use your fists and stealth knockouts to drop them and take their stuff. Once you and your horse are full, return to the container to lighten your load. Since Sir Redzik's sword is a quest item, I just quickly dump all of Henry's inventory with a single button press and then head back out naked with the sword still in hand. Many cuman, especially on hardcore, will not allow you to stealth knock them first try. This is actually an opportunity, as you'll still get some XP with each failed attempt, and you can very quickly try again. On hardcore, you'll have to attempt many more times to get them down, so I like to do a mixture of punching and stealth knocks to hasten the process. Meanwhile, if you want to train weapon skill, you can just do that on their horses. I like to swipe at them from atop my horse while I'm moving between groups of cuman. Sure, they'll run away, but you can get a few hits in before they do, and you'll be seeing them around somewhere as you keep returning back to the container when unloading loot. The next group is up on the hill, and you should see them when you crest the top of it. Then, look to the left of the ore yard in the distance to see a smoking shack. There's a sizable group right there. The rest can be seen in and closely around Ravna itself, but there will be one group just out of reach vaguely in the direction of Merhuyed. The invisible barrier will prevent getting at them. You can return after the prologue to finish the job. All the bow-wielding cuman within the barrier, they carry the villager dogwood bow. But that group of 3 over there, they have the highly desired cuman bows, which will be worth coming back for. You'll also see some villagers around, and it's up to you if you want to mess with them. I will point out that there is one of particular note. He's wearing the quartered combat jacket and a pair of leather boots, both of which are top tier items. After you've gotten all the loot, you can call it quits or keep traveling between groups to further farm XP. When you're done, head back into Skalitz and visit with Mom and Dad to trigger the cutscene. The container will still be there after speaking with Zbigniew, so I recommend waiting until then to take all 1100 or so weight of items and slowly ascend the hill to dig under the linden tree. All the loot Henry carries will be moved to the rattay mill after the prologue. To get the absolute best value for these items, you'll have to commit some extra crime. Head over to the tanner's house right next door. This ladder makes everyone on the property disappear, which will allow you to lockpick with no risk of being caught. Unlock the front door if needed, and also the door to the storage room. Then, behind the newly opened door is a vendor chest with an easy lock. Put everything you want to convert in here. If you're selling everything like I did, just make sure you don't put your lockpicks in there, or you'll need to do the miller's training to get more, or, God forbid, pay for some. You can see I got 27,000 groschen doing it this way. This direct-to-chest method bypasses the horrible value debuff hardcore mode puts on selling items to vendors, so you'll get the same value here as you would on normal mode. Now you can enjoy the playthrough with a stack of cash, buffed up skills, and a brand new horse. Then you can come back soon for the next trial by Squire.